Hi, everyone. My name is Ifan, and I'm a part of Team Quantum. What I'll be doing now is giving a live demonstration on how to create a classification predictive model using Microsoft Azure Machine Learning Studio. The data set we'll be using is coming from MMA A67 Assignment 3. So the first thing we need to do is go to Azure portal, more services, AI and machine learning, and then Machine Learning Studio Workspace. As you can see, I've already created an MMA A44 workspace, but how do you create a workspace is by going to create and then filling out the criteria here. Once you have this filled out, we're going to go back. And a workspace is essentially a place for you to work on projects and also create models. So now let's go into our workspace. We're going to go to My Experiments. Now, the first thing we're going to do once we're here is you're going to go to Dataset, and you're going to New, from Local File, load the dataset. In this demo, I've chose MMA A67 Assignment 3 credit data. Now we're going to go to Experiments. For the sake of time, I've pre-created the model, but I'll show you how it works. So the first thing we need to do is get our data set. So save data, my data set, and then we're going to drag our data set out. The next step is to split data. You can think of split data as essentially your train and test. So with this 0.7 means that we're going to train our model on 70% data and then test on a 30%. Once that's done, we're going to need train model. So what train model is, it's essentially asking you, what do you want the model to predict? In our case, we want to predict probability that a customer would default. 1 meaning default, 0 meaning not default. The next thing we need is our classification. For this demo, the classification I chose was boosted decision tree. Once that's done, and we have our trained model, we're going to need a score model, which is down here. So what a score model does is it's going to take your trained model on the 70% of your data set, and it's going to give a score to the test data, which is the 30% of the data set from split data. And it will give a score to those test data. And the last step is evaluate model. This is essentially will give you your AOC score, your true positives and false negatives, and etc. The next step is to run the model. Again, my model has already been run, so I will show you the final results where we will go to evaluate model, evaluate results, visualize. As you can see here, on the bottom right, our AUC is 0.776. On the bottom left is you have your true positives, false negatives, false positive, true negatives. This is your ROC graph, which should look very familiar. This is your precision recall graph, and this is your lift graph. Now, if you want to go more in detail, we're going to go to scored dataset, visualize. Now, we're going to scroll to the very right. So each line is a customer, and the score probability is how the model predicts whether a customer will default or not. How it does this is by looking at our threshold. So our threshold is 0.5. If the score probability is less than our threshold, then our model will predict that customer will not default. But if it reaches our threshold or passes it, then our model will predict that customer will default. The last thing I will show you is train model, which has all of the decision trees. Now, the last step is you can download the data set and upload to, say, Power BI to create visualizations. This ends our demo. Thank you for your time.